So we need to talk about cabotage. It's one of those rules that everyone knows about, but never seems to get enforced. Now, this reporting comes from Transport Topics. So if you want the full reporting, you want the full news story, definitely go check them out. But the short version, federal authorities are starting to take cabotage laws more seriously. Back in December, the Department of Homeland Security conducted a raid on an Arizona-based trucking company as part of an investigation into suspected cabotage violations. The company is based in Tucson, Arizona, and the operation involved both Homeland Security and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Now, before we go any further, I just want to make one thing clear. I don't know this trucking company that was investigated in this article. I don't know how they operate. There's no charges or anything that have been filed. So we're not pointing the fingers at this trucking company or anything like that. I more so am bringing up this article because they were talking about cabotage and cabotage violations and how the U.S. government is now starting to handle those. And that's more what I wanted to bring to the forefront. Really not so much of this company in general, but just the fact that they are starting to take those cabotage rules more seriously. Now, if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, cabotage happens when foreign registered commercial truck drivers, usually operating under B-1 visitor visas, enter the U.S. legally to deliver cross-border freight. Then they stay in the country to haul domestic loads. So let's give an example. If you have a trucking company coming from Canada, delivering a load from Toronto to New York City, then they drop off that load in New York City, and then they decide, hey, we're going to take a load from New York City to Chicago, then a load from Chicago to Montana, Montana to California, and then California back to Toronto. That is what cabotage is, and that is illegal. Hauling domestic freight inside of the U.S. is illegal for them. They're allowed to do cross-border only, but again, hauling domestic freight is illegal. So they cannot deliver freight from one U.S. destination to the other. They can only haul freight from a U.S. destination back into Canada and from Canada back into the U.S. Now, that distinction really matters because, like we've been talking about, cabotage is a violation of federal law. And again, this isn't something new. These laws have been on the books for a long time. It's just something that the federal government hasn't taken very seriously. Now, drivers, on the other hand, this is something you guys know and have been at the forefront of talking about for a long time and been complaining about for a long time, especially near the both Canadian and Mexican borders. We hear it all the time. Foreign drivers, they come in legally, they drop a load, and then they stay hauling domestic freight, obviously when they're not authorized to do so. And we hear these claims more and more. And after COVID, this really exploded. According to public records and witnesses, federal agents executed a search warrant at the trucking facility in Tucson and removed documents and materials as part of the investigation. Now, the warrant is still sealed, and as of now, like I said earlier, no charges have been filed or have been announced. Federal records show as of late January, U.S. Department of Transportation listed the trucking company as an active carrier with interstate-only authority. The company operated 13 power units with 13 drivers and was not authorized and is as an interstate for hire carrier. State records still showed the company is active and in good standing, although the contact information in the federal databases appears to be completely inactive. But what's important here is the bigger picture. Public officials familiar with the raid have suggested this isn't a one-off. It appears to be part of a broader federal crackdown on cabotage along the southwest border, especially involving smaller carriers suspected of retaining foreign drivers to haul domestic freight after their cross-border deliveries. For years, trucking trade groups have pushed for more cabotage enforcement. Their argument has been simple. Cabotage undercuts U.S. drivers, distorts competition, and bypasses safety and labor practices and standards that domestic carriers have to follow. Under U.S. law, moving freight between 2 points within the United States must be done by carriers and drivers authorized for domestic commerce. Drivers who violate cabotage laws risk losing their visas, and companies that facilitate it can face serious enforcement action. The state's trucking industry supports more than 165,000 jobs and delivers freight to nearly every community in the state. Industry leaders argue that consistent cabotage enforcement is necessary to protect lawful carriers and drivers on both sides of the border. But for now, this investigation is still ongoing. The warrants are sealed, and there's no public timeline for any kind of charges, if there will be at all. But the raid itself sends a clear signal. Cabotage enforcement is shifting from something that only existed on paper to something that we're seeing being enforced by the feds. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this is a good move by the federal government to start enforcing these cabotage rules and laws that have been on the books for a long time? Me personally, I think it's a great idea. I think that this is a long time coming. We're starting to finally see some action in these cabotage laws, and I think it's a really good thing because we do need to protect our domestic freight, our domestic industry. What do you guys think? Tell me down in the comments what you guys think about cabotage law and if you think this is a good action. And while we're talking about it, about safety and compliance and liability more broadly, the Supreme Court, they're about to rule on broker liability and when brokers select unsafe carriers, if they can be held liable in court. I've got a video for you guys on that you should check out, and we'll have it linked right here.